Hey, what's up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and today I'm going to rank the discography of progressive metal legends Mastodon. And hey, if you like to be kept up to date with the best and brightest metal bands and albums from the underground and above, then stick with me by hitting that subscribe button down below. Alright, y'all, this is another band that's been on my list for some time now, and we're just going to get right into it with Remission. Now, I know some people will still claim that this is like the best Mastodon record, partially because it's just so heavy. It's like I've heard people argue it's their like only metal album, so to speak. It's fine. It's a very it's not fleshed out all the amazing things about the later stuff. And for that reason, as you can see here, I don't even have the full album. I've re-listened to all these again just before recording, just to see if my mind changed on anything. And really, in this case, it hasn't. I do like March of the Fire Ants. Cool track. I like the guitar riffs on it. I like the ominous atmosphere and intensity. And yeah, I appreciate the intensity of this album. But overall, I don't have a ton to say about it. Just gets the ball rolling. It's kind of a C. But yeah, let's move right from there into the kind of beefier, meatier Mastodon albums with 2004's Leviathan. Fantastic album. One of my favorites, definitely. Love the whole Moby Dick theme. I love the album art, too. Great opening riff. Just feels like a ship lurching on the sea, too. They've really kind of captured the vibe of just that. The imagery that they're trying to capture, they totally nailed it in the actual music. And then Island, great riffs all over this one. Very heavy track. Kind of chaotic, too. Definitely one of their heavier albums, too. Probably, my favorite of their really super heavy albums. Iron Tusk. Great drum roll in the beginning of that one. Great riff. So many great, awesome proggy guitars all over this thing. And one of the earlier albums that I fell in love with from Mastodon. Megalodon's also very good. Kind of a more brooding track, more atmosphere. Introduced to those more, the acoustic overlaid guitars. This chuggy part here. One of my favorite parts on the whole album. Great cool tapping part there. And then the deeper cuts too. I'm Ahab. Just full of memorable moments. Sea Beast is great. More of a plodding, straight up prog track. Great stuff. Great stuff. I love that riff. Another one of my favorite guitar riffs on the album. But in any case, easily an A album. Absolutely adore it. Great times. But I want to move from here straight into the next album, because to me, these two almost go together. They're different concepts, but as far as their sound, very similar, I feel like. Moving a little bit even more proggy, less heavy on this album, but still just there's so many similarities to the songwriting that I like to kind of make these almost like part one and part two. And yeah, lots of amazing moments on this album as well. This was my discovery point for the band as a Colony of Birchman. I was aware of them already, but Colony of Birchman on, I can't remember if it was Guitar Hero or Rock Band, but this song showed up and just captured my imagination. I was spellbound by the weird vocals. I love the guitars. This is a super fun song to play. And just the dynamics of it, and just the different styles of kind of riffs that it's got on it. I love it, and that's just all over this album. Wolf is Loose, great way to kick things off. That opening drumming, so good, and then right in that riff. I love the concept behind it. I love the album art. I just fell head over heels for this band at that point. And it's just, yeah, it's an incredible album with a really cool concept. Sleeping Giant's another really great one. And even though I only have three, really favorite tracks marked on here, they're all good. There's really not a bad song on this album, unless you're considering like Joshua's Message, which doesn't really count, which is kind of funny because it's that Queens of the Stone Age reference. Love Hunters of the Sky, Crystal Skull, another cool drum intro on this one. More great riffs. Circle of Sasquatch, Capillarian Crest. But yeah, in any case, fantastic album, just like Leviathan. And I kind of put them on the level. Like I said, I consider them to be kind of like part 1, part 2. They're similar quality too. But if we're really getting into like playing favorites here, for me, Crack the Skye is Mastodon's masterpiece. Like, this is their prog opus. It combines all of the best things from those earlier albums with a much more expansive, progressive-oriented songwriting. Lots of longer songs. I know the band has said this was kind of their most difficult album to write and to perform to, because it's a lot more technical and demands a lot more from them in terms of the performances. But it's just full of amazing songwriting moments, but yet still kind of catchy, still sing-songy at times. So it doesn't like lose you. It doesn't get like up its butt, so to speak, with pretension. Love this little like banjo intro for Divinations that evolves into the guitar riff. Definitely one of the standout songs, standout singles on the album. And gets plenty heavy too. Another one too where I love the concept behind it with Rasputin and the mysticism and everything. I don't get too wrapped up in that, but musically though, this album is just stunning. Like, if you don't like this album, I don't get you. Like, I don't know how we can be. Title track, Crack the Skye, excellent, just plotting, atmospheric, epic. Again, I try not to overuse that word. I really try to catch myself when it's coming out of my mouth, but in this case, it is definitely warranted. The Last Baron is an amazing closing track too. Just love how it just, every time I listen to this track in particular, but really the whole album, I just feel like I'm drifting along into just this deep expanse of infinity. It's so cool. And then even like Quintessence, Bizarre, like every track on here is amazing. Every track is fantastic. Crack the Skye, easily their S-tier album, easily their best album, if you ask me. Now, moving on from here, we have some ups and downs. You'll notice that the next album I actually don't even have, and that is The Hunter. And that's because, like most people, I freaking can't stand this album. Now, that's not to say that it doesn't have its high points. It has some decent songs on it that are enjoyable. But overall, it's just kind of a mess. Like, it feels like a compilation album. And especially coming off of the heights of Crack the Skye, there's no comparison. It just really feels like they threw a bunch of ideas into a blender, and this is what came out. And there's really, like, even the better songs aren't worth me, like, even keeping in my library. Like, I don't enjoy re-listening to them. It's pretty easy for me to put this at D tier. And again, I re-listened to it before doing this tier list just to see if my opinion had changed. And I think I was a little less hard on it than I was before, but I still don't like it. And even included it in my video of my favorite bad albums from great bands that demand to be talked about. So you can check that video out as well for more of those. From there, they kind of redeemed themselves for me, and this is a very split opinion album with Once More Round the Sun in 2014. I really like this album. Super catchy. I know it's less kind of progressive. It's more rock oriented. It's definitely less metal too. Like, it's arguably not really metal at all. But it's really catchy, the songwriting's great, and as you can see, like, there's a lot of tracks on here that I really enjoy re-listening to, from that opening track, the Motherlode, of course. Great music videos all over this album, of course. But listen to that riff. That groove. You can't, like, not move to it. Like, you just, like, dance along, and it's just such a good time. I absolutely adore it. High Road is another good one. Love to sing along with this one. Great driving, sludgy guitar riff there. Oh, this almost feels like something that could have been on Leviathan. because it's got that big lumbering quality to it. People have split opinions about this chorus, but I really love it. It catches me every time. Chimes at midnight is great. And there's riffs for days on this album. Listen to that. You need some proggy riffs? They still got them. Like, if you ask me, they did the kind of move into more rock-oriented songwriting much better than Gojira did. Because Magma was an album that on my Gojira tier list I ranked pretty low, but I really enjoy this album. Feast Your Eyes is great, Ember City is great. Halloween. Appropriate, because I'm recording this actually the day after Halloween, although I'm sure I'll put this out much later than that. But yeah, this is a fantastic album. I almost want to put it at A tier, but it's not quite as good as these other two, so I think it's fair to put that one at B tier. And mind you, I'm only ranking the full-length studio albums, not the EPs, not the compilations. So that brings us to Emperor of Sand from 2017. And this is another one that, this was probably one of my biggest disappointments of that year. I can't believe it's already been 3 years since this came out. Almost more than that now. It's got some high points on it, definitely. I love Sultan's Curse. Really solid track. Fun times. These tracks, you'll notice, are all ones that feel like they would have been right at home on, like, Blood Mountain or something. They're kind of the heavier tracks, too, the proggier tracks. I like this kind of, like, Tool-sounding riff here. So there's some cool moments on here. Andromeda's good. But then the clean singing. Like, this is where this album really kills me. It's not even just the songwriting behind it, but the production behind some of the clean singing on this album just, like, literally makes me wince. It makes me cringe, because it sounds, like, too poppy and just out of place. Like, Mastodon should have this kind of gruff intensity behind it, and it just loses that on some of the choruses here. But yeah, Andromeda has some cool moments, too. Yeah, just something mainly about the production of this album, I think, is what hurt it the most for me. Scorpion Breath's kind of cool too. Again, this opening riff with the acoustic guitar reminds me something off of Leviathan or Blood Mountain. Like, more of this, please. I'm kind of hoping they'll go more in this direction on the next album. We'll have to see. But yeah, overall, this album kind of let me down. I was disappointed. I like Once More Around the Sun better than it, and it's just kind of a C tier. Very average release for them. Some good, some just very forgettable, and again, that production just really weakens it. But that's kind of it. Like, they don't have a ton of albums, so got through that one a little bit quicker. Let me know down in the comments where we agree, where we disagree. Let's start up a conversation. I love it when people say, like, I think this album should be higher because... But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.